Hello and welcome to the Razzball Hittertron video tutorial. I'm your host Rudy Gamble. I'm the tool behind the Razzball Fantasy Baseball tools. The Hittertron is designed for those of you in daily and weekly fantasy baseball leagues, whether they be roto or head-to-head. It's the perfect tool for in-season decision making on hitters, whether it be figure out who to pick up on free agency or who to start sit on your roster. There are three variations of the Hittertron, a daily version, a weekly version, and a 7-day hitter planner. I'm going to start the tutorial on the daily view since that's the most popular amongst our subscribers. Top of all our tools pages will have links to the various daily versions of Hittertron, the today version, the tomorrow version, as well as days 3 through 7. As you scroll down, we'll find projections for all hitters either in starting lineups, or if the lineup hasn't posted yet, we project for all hitters on active rosters. Each player is linked to their player page. That takes you'll see things like game logs, rest of season projections, and lefty versus righty splits. We note if the player is righty, lefty, or switch hitter. Obviously, his team, his position eligibility in ESPN or Yahoo. The ESPN one is generally 20 games before the season or 10 games in season. Yahoo's is 10 and 5. Date, GT saying for the game time, 8 would be 8 p.m., 7 p.m., etc. The roto dollar value, which all the players are in descending order of their projected value. We see here Andrew McCutchen and Starling Marte are 1 and 2. Not surprisingly, they're playing in Colorado against a meat pitcher. This next column is percent start. If the lineup is in, that's going to be set at either 100 or anyone who's not starting is going to be removed from the table. You'll also be able to see that by this in the lineup field, which will be green and say live. In any case, the lineup field will always go to the team page on Baseball Press, where you can see the latest lineups. As we scroll down, we will find players such as Paul Goldschmidt here at a 95. That is our projected likelihood for him to start. And those will really go between 5 and 95 for all hitters. The rest of the stats are plate appearances, at bats, hits, runs, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, average on base percentage, slugging, OPS, and ownership percentage. The ownership percentage is based on our Razzball commenter leagues. Those are 12-team mixed leagues, and that's actually the same format we use for our dollar methodology. This table is sortable just by hitting any of the columns. Hitting it once is going to go in ascending order, a second time descending order. The ownership percentage is the best way I've found to filter the data. In this case, I'm going to put a less than 80 here, which would mean those owned in less than 80% of Razzball commenter leagues, and it's usually a good check to see if someone's going to be available in your league. In this case, because there's a game at Colorado, the top 5 guys available are all players that, while typically not owned, are going to be owned in a Colorado day. The thresholds I'm looking for usually $0 or above. I'd say $0 would be the general floor, but you're really looking just for the most valuable hitter that's available on your waivers. Other typical ways that this report could be filtered is if I remove the ownership, would be things like before the lineups have posted early in the day, you might do something like a greater than 70 here to remove any guy who's unlikely to start. That might be like a second catcher in a Colorado game who might be very highly ranked but is not likely to play. If you're looking for something like I really need a stolen base guy, generally you're going to sort, and we're going to find here that Charlie Blackmon is the number 1 guy for projected stolen bases, mainly because his on-base percentage is very high for that day. Next, we're going to move to the weekly hitter view. This is both the weekly hitter view and the next 7-day view are similar in that they're going to sum up the player's projected stats for the time period. Now, unlike on the daily, this data is weighted by their likelihood to start. So you're going to see an everyday player like a Mookie Betts here have close to 6 to 7 games worth of projections, where a platoon or a part-time hitter is going to be less. The stats are similar in terms of what we project. There are a few extra stats here. There's the number of games, the number of team games, number of home games versus away games versus righty and versus lefty. I tend to use this when I'm playing in weekly leagues to help identify certain players, let's say like David Peralta on Arizona, trying to make sure that if they have a lot of righties they're facing, he's a much better play than if they're facing a lot of lefties. Next, we're going to move to a weekly hitter planner view, where we have two reports available both for the next week and the next 7 days. The first report is a team-based view, where we're looking to find which team's hitters have the most advantageous matchups for the week. We see each of the teams are hyperlinked to their Razzball team pages, where we'll be able to see projections for each of the players. The key factors we're looking for is, one, how many games is that team scheduled to play in the next week? The more the better, obviously. Typically ranges between 5 and 7. The next is a park factor, where we're looking at how advantageous for runs are the parks they're facing that week. Anything above 100 means more advantageous. Anything below 100 would be less advantageous. The last is the pitcher factor. That neutralizes the whip for the pitchers and tries to understand what's the quality of these starting pitchers based on whip. Anything above 100 would mean that the pitchers have a below average whip. Anything below 100 would mean that those are good pitchers, and it's worse for the hitters. Those are combined into one key factor, and all 30 teams are ranked in descending order. In this case, Colorado has the best week ahead, followed by the Dodgers and the Red Sox. The last is actually the Braves, particularly because they're only playing 5 games, and they're not playing in necessarily good parks or against bad pitchers. The next report we have here lists the top 20 available streaming hitters for the next week. These are filtered down to those only owned in less than 80% of Razzball commenter leagues. You can click on any of the players' names in order to see their projected stats for each of those 7 days.
If you have any additional questions on Hittertron, please first consult our Hittertron FAQ document that's linked on all the Hittertron pages, or you could just Google for it. That'll be particularly useful if you have any questions about the methodology behind our projections. If the Hittertron FAQ doesn't work, please feel free to email me at rudy@razzball.com, or you can tweet me at rudygamble. Thanks for watching.